Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome into the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, August 12th, 2015. I am Dave Biddle, and I am joined by Jonah Booker. He is our Bucknuts contributor. He writes the very popular Outside Columbus each Sunday on the site. J-Book, welcome into the show, my man.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Obviously, the biggest story right now, or at least one of the biggest stories, you could argue the quarterback situation is the biggest, but Braxton Miller to wide receiver, it was surreal to me seeing him out there going through the wide receiver drills with just the wide receivers, just the wide receiver coach and Zach Smith, wearing the number 1. I don't even know if surreal does it justice. Not a seamless transition on the first day. I'm not going to put too much stock in it. He was dropping a lot of passes. It was his first time playing wide receiver. Should we be a little bit concerned, though, or no?
Right now, I think it's too early to get concerned about it. He's young as far as learning the position. He's a senior, but this is his first time taking reps as a wide receiver, so his head's probably out there spinning. Once he gets his feet wet, he learns where he needs to be. He needs to learn where he needs to be as far as his debt ratio with the quarterback. And I think once he gets that down, he kind of fine-tunes the nuances of the position. He's going to be okay. But as of right now, and I think it's a little too early to worry about how he's doing.
I think we all thought, myself included, I mean, this is a young man that can make people miss in a phone booth. I mean, I think the Penn State game, at Penn State, his sophomore year is the best example. I mean, that little touchdown there, the best 1-yard touchdown run in the history of football, as I call it, when I made about 5 Penn State guys miss in about a 3-yard radius and dove across the goal line. And there's been many other examples. That's always what has made him special. He's never been Joe Montana. He's never been Warren Moon. He's never been a guy that's been a pinpoint passer. He's been a guy that can make anybody miss. That being said, he's always been a quarterback, and I think a lot of people assumed this would be a seamless transition. Is there a chance that we're going to look back on this and say, Braxton was a quarterback. Moving him to this position, was not a good idea? I tend to think that's not going to happen, but I just want to throw that out there. Is there a chance that might happen?
I don't think it's going to happen, but if people are expecting him to put up a Heisman-like performance and numbers early on, we'll be gladly disappointed because it's going to take him time. The Virginia Tech, that's going to be a huge game, but after that, you're looking at a couple cupcakes where he'll be able to go ahead and continue to develop. But like you said, he is a phenomenal athlete. He can make anybody miss in the phone booth. Just get him the ball. Will he hit the 9 route like Devin Smith? That's remained to be seen. Will he be able to come across the middle like a Michael Thomas? That remains to be seen. But one thing I can tell you, get that man the ball on the bubble screen, quick hitches, anything that you can do to get him the ball, and he's going to make plays for you. For me, Dontre Wilson is a guy who transitioned to the position from an H-back, from a running back in high school. And what did Dontre Wilson do? He was averaging 9 yards a clip every time he touched the ball, and he's nowhere near a finished product. He's a guy that still needs to develop. Same thing with Jalen Marshall. He's another guy that was young, switching over to the position, and you saw what type of production he put up. So for me, I think Braxton is going to be able to contribute something special to this team, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
J-Book, the coaches have talked up Curtis Samuel a lot, and rightfully so. I mean, this guy flashed brilliance last year. I mean, he looked early in the season, in my opinion, as good as Ezekiel Elliott. And when you look at the fact that Ezekiel Elliott ended up having, one of the top 3 best seasons ever by an Ohio State running back, I mean, it's crazy to think back, and maybe I was just wrong, but I just thought early on, Curtis Samuel looked every bit as good as Ezekiel Elliott. And now you have the coaches saying that they want to get Curtis Samuel the ball a lot. In the spring, they were saying basically he was going to be the starting H. You also have Jalen Marshall at the H. He was the starter last year after Dontre Wilson went down. They're going to move him out wide a little bit more. But after he gets back from suspension. He's going to play both the H and wide receiver. Curtis Samuel, though, was supposed to be that main guy at the H. Break it down a little bit for me here. Obviously Braxton Miller, we all hope is perfect for the role, but they also want to get Curtis Samuel out there a lot. In your opinion, is Braxton a clear upgrade over Curtis Samuel at the H-back position?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I'm a huge fan of Curtis Samuel. The guy has that fluid mobility compared to a Reggie Bush coming out of USC is what I look at in Curtis Samuel. And Braxton Miller, he's another phenomenal athlete. You're talking about two big-time heavy-hitter playmakers. The coaches, they always said in the beginning of the spring that they want to get Curtis Samuel the ball, so that was one of the reasons for moving. But I think they're going to see a situation where both guys are going to be on the field at the same time. Curtis Samuel, how's he developing? In the springtime, he was kind of getting used to the position, so this fall camp is going to be huge for him. And not only Curtis Samuel, but a guy in Paris Campbell who they're saying looking real good out there. So Paris Campbell is another name to look out for who could potentially fill in for that H-back role.
That's a great point. I mean, we're forgetting about a young man that runs a 4.340 who's 6'1", 205. One of the things about Paris Campbell, I thought maybe he's like kind of, a little too skinny to play. This is last year. I mean, even then he wasn't. The kid was only 16 at the time. Now he's filled out, and no matter what, he's going to get out there and play some football this year. We'll see how much, but that's a great point. They're dripping with talent at almost every position. Switching gears, maybe one position they're not dripping with as much depth as they would like. They certainly have plenty of talent, is the corner position. And a former defensive back yourself in college, Jay Book, you played at the Ohio University. You played for the Bobcats, for those who don't know. You're a good man to talk to about this. Now, I've told people that I think Garyon Conley is almost locked in as the starter opposite Eli Apple, and people will be like, oh, come on, Buckeye fans, they remember that one game against Michigan State. I'm like, come on. The kid was a redshirt freshman at the time. He was thrown in there, didn't have much experience. It was one game, and it was one series of one game. And forget about what I think about Garyon Conley. The coaches talk this kid up like he is a starter. So I think at this point it's safe to say that if he's not a starter, it's going to be a big surprise. With Damon Webb, though, I think they really like him as well. He's going to be that number 3 corner. He's going to challenge for that nickel spot along with Eric Smith. Chris Hatch usually likes to use corners as the nickel, but I think maybe this year he'll make an exception and use Eric Smith. I love Eric Smith. Marshawn Lattimore, though, is a big question here, and he is coming off the hamstring situation as Jay Book. He is practicing, which is great news. Hopefully he can fill out that 2 deep and maybe even more. And there's some true freshmen in the mix, too. Denzel Ward, Eric Glover-Williams. Give me your thoughts upon the corner position. Obviously, Eli Apple is locked in as a starter, and I think he's going to be a future NFL player. But just anything you want to say about the corner position?
From all indications, it looks like Garyon Conley will get that starting position. Damon Webb, he's another guy that the coaches really like. I think he's going to start developing to be that first guy in if anything happens to Eli Apple or Conley. But as you mentioned, Marshawn Lattimore, he's the X factor. Well, how healthy is he going to be? Is he going to develop and get on the field is going to be a huge question mark for the Buckeyes because, as you mentioned, they're going to go a lot of nickel and diamond defensive formations this season with a lot of teams in the Big Ten running the spread. So Marshawn Lattimore is a guy that I'm looking for to have a huge fall camp. And as you mentioned, some of the freshmen, those guys are going to get valuable opportunities and reps to see what they can do to get on the field. But I think it's going to be Garyon Conley who gets to start. As you mentioned, a lot of people weren't as high on him due to that one game at Michigan State. But with him getting all the reps with the first team, the coaches having faith in him, I think he's going to be okay. I'm really bullish on Damon Webb as well. I think that guy is a technician. I love the way he competes. He's a dog out there on the field. So it's going to be interesting. At the beginning of the season, you would think that the depth at cornerback was going to be a no-brainer. But as you kind of, start picking and choosing and looking through everything, that is kind of a question mark going into the summer.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked up Damon Webb. I will say one thing. Like, we're all, for those of us that might be a little bit concerned, and that's why I'm not a lot concerned. If you're a little bit concerned about corner depth, when Damon Webb is your number 3 corner, I'm not talking third string, but on the 2 deep, you're right knocking on the door to be a starter. But he's your number 3 corner. I mean, you know you have a lot of talent. You're not too shabby at that position. So I think
it's just unproven talent.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think some of those true freshmen. I like Denzel Ward. I like Eric Glover Williams. Maybe somebody like Joshua Norwood will surprise. I think Damon Arnett's obviously going to redshirt with the injury he has, but I think they're going to be okay there. You know that we're grasping for straws when we're talking about depth at corner. I think they're going to be fine there. And former defensive back Jonah Booker, great stuff out of you as always, my friend. And I want to let the listeners know it's going to be a big day on Bucknuts today. Buckeyes will be kicking off practice here shortly. We are going to interview Luke Fickell and a handful of linebackers after practice around 11:30 a.m. today. And we're going to interview Ed Warner and a few of the offensive linemen. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for stuff from Coach Fickell and the linebackers, Coach Warner and the offensive linemen. Again, great stuff out of Jonah Booker. Thanks again for you guys for tuning into the show. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day. Take it away, best damn band in the land.